for that piece of geometry. So let's move on to the next one. Again, return color to normal. And the next one is the banister large, which I think is that one at the very back. That really large piece, I think, at the back here. So we did these curved sections, and so we've finished doing the normal mapping for those. I think banister large is this large section through the back here. Let's load up our mesh. Yeah, it is that large piece of the banister at the back. And again, I'm not going to change my normal mapping here because I know that they worked for the smaller pieces, so it should work for the larger one. It's good though just to check the model out, just in case something doesn't look quite right. But I think it looks okay. Before we do our export, we have to change our export path here because we're using a different folder now, a different piece of geometry. So it's important to always change your path. See, it's still set to our first piece of geometry. I'm just going to switch it to the banister large. I do that before I export my normal maps. That's just to keep everything nice and tidy. So again, we're going to upgrade the integrator. So we have our height and our ambient occlusion, and now we can hit export. And again, that's moved it into our new folder. We've only got one texture map, so there's only one we have to worry about. We'll return to color to normal mode, and let's load up our next piece of geometry. B column right. Okay, so this one is our columns that are at the very front of the model. So these columns down here, down there, on both sides. We use one texture, and we just rotated the column 180 degrees so that people wouldn't know that we'd copied the same texture map. Before I do that, I'm just going to check. This is a different piece of geometry, so I just want to have a look at it. Let's start playing with these again and see what we get. Again, the large details, it's not going to benefit from that. These smaller details, maybe a little bit. I may pull back on the extra fine detail though, I think. See, I don't want it looking too pimpled. Even though it's stone, that's just too heavy. So I'm going to pull that back. And pull it in until it gets the effect that I think it needs, which is probably about there. And again, you can play with your intensity here, but I think I'll keep it at 90 for everything I work on, and I'll just make my adjustments through these sliders here. And again though, like I was saying, even if we think once we bring it into view it's a bit heavy or not heavy enough, we can make the adjustments in the materials in view itself. So let's before we update the integrator, let's change our path here. Always remember to change the path. Now we can jump to update integrator. Again, that makes our ambient occlusion and our height map. We can export. So once you've got everything set up, it's quite quick to go through and create your normal maps. And again, even though I've used algorithmics bitmap to material, and it does a good job, it's fine for what it does, it's not as fast as gnarled. Making these adjustments to the normal map in bitmap to material is slow. It sort of hangs the machine for a couple of seconds while it adjusts your normal map, whereas Null does it instantly on the fly. Wonderful piece of software, well worth the money. And they do have a free version if you want to try it out. So I encourage you, if you're interested in doing normal mapping, to go to their website and have a look. Download the free version. It's fully functional, I think, for 30 days. If you do want to buy it, they have a license for freelancers, which is $100, which is very reasonable. If you're not a freelancer and you work for a studio and you want to use it, then I think it's about $200. And you're allowed to install it on 2 machines. So if you want to install it on your desktop machine and a notebook, you just have to buy the one license and you can do that. So for what they charge, it's really good value. Now I've just got to see if I exported that. I can't remember if I did or not. Yes, I did. Okay. All right, let's return to color to normal and load up our next color map. And again, we've got 5 versions of this, so let's have a look. Load up our mesh. Okay, and these are the supports that we were working on. And again, you can change your lighting here as well by holding down the right mouse button and moving it around to get an overall view of what it's going to look like in different lighting. You just use the left mouse button to rotate around and the center mouse button to move. So we have our first support here. Let's start playing with our values a bit. Again, the really large detail is not really going to affect it. Large detail, again, not so much. Medium detail, we may take that to about halfway. Fine detail, again, just past halfway. And our extra fine detail, we can probably afford to pull this one up quite a bit. It's a small piece of geometry. It's got a lot of dirt in it, so it'll benefit from having a lot of fine detail showing up, as you can see through here. And our intensity, we might pull it up a bit to maybe 125%. Might be a bit much. Let's make it 110. Yeah, I think 110 will be good. Because I want that dirt to really show when we start doing renders in Eon View, and by having the normal map a little bit stronger, it'll really help to the renderer to pick up all these fine dirt marks when it throws the light pass over it. So that looks good. Again though, let's jump in and change our path here. And update our integrator. So again, we have our normal map and our ambient occlusion map. Of course, you can always adjust your ambient occlusion here as well if you want. I find that it doesn't really need it. If you want to make it a little darker or whatever the piece of geometry is, you can adjust it here. If you want to actually even get finer detail, you can turn that on and do adjustments through here, but I generally don't. And I generally leave it at 100%. And generally that does a good job. But if you like to tinker, then you have the options there. Okay, so let's export that first version. We're going to jump back to our color to normal and bring in our next color map, which is R2. And again, I don't have to reload this, but I'm just doing it to make sure. Because each texture is completely different. I want to double check that the settings we have here for our normal map are going to work for it. They should, but just to make sure. We don't change our path. We're going to update our integrator. And we're going to export. Return. Let's load up our next color map here, which is R3. And again, that looks okay. Let's update our integrator. Sniper Echo, sorry for what's the name of the software I'm currently using? It's called Nulled. We'll find it for you right now. Let me just close these down quickly. Nice concept art there. I must find out who this is. It's called Nulled, so I'll go to the website and show you guys exactly what I'm using. So KNALD. It'll be the very first thing you get in Google. And this is the homepage for the software. I believe it was made by the guys called Ephixa. I could be wrong, but I think it was. And again, I know a lot of studios are using it as well. A few of the studios I've worked in use it. I know Crazy Bump, a program called Crazy Bump, used to be really big a few years ago. And it's still used. But this is better, I think. And I know a few studios that use this, so. And like I said, where are we? It's really reasonably priced, and if you just do want to try it out, download the demo. It's I think fully functional for 30 days. If you're a freelancer, it only costs $100, and you can install it on 2 machines. If you want a studio license, it's $200, which is still reasonable when it comes to 3D software. Look, I know $100 and $200, guys, is not a little amount of money, but when it comes to 3D or anything to do with art, it's relatively cheap. But if you just want to try it out, download the demo. Can thoroughly recommend it. I use it all the time. Like I said, I've used bitmap to material and still do occasionally, and it does a fine job. There are free versions if you want to create just normal maps with plugins for Photoshop that you can use that were created, I think, by NVIDIA. You don't have to have an NVIDIA card to use them, I don't believe. If just creating a normal map is what you're after. Yeah, it is faster updating. That's the reason that I stopped using bitmap to material that Algorithmic make and started using this. And like I said, I know studios use this as well. Studios will use bitmap to material too, but I've seen this used a lot more. Because it is much faster when you're making your adjustments to your normal map here. I've noticed with bitmap to material, you'll make a change to your slider and it'll take a good 20 seconds before it updates in your viewport. It's just sluggish. Whereas this is instant and I can see exactly what it's going to do. That's why I really like it. And I can't remember exactly what bitmap to material costs now at Algorithmic. They're always changing their prices, but I don't believe it's much cheaper than what Nulled costs. Nulled is much better, particularly because it just the interface as well is much more straightforward and easier to use as opposed to bitmap to material. I like when I'm using any software, and this is one of the reasons I really like using 3D Studio Max. I like easy to find things. I don't like things hidden within things, nested menus and that type of thing. That annoys me. I need to be able to see and get to things quickly and easily. And I like a clean interface. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this software. Nice and clean, easy to use. Lina says you're a fan of realistic anime kind of style, South Korean guys do. Yeah, I like anime, or as I used to call it, as I still call it, manga. I know manga is not the word to be using anymore, and anime is what they prefer you to call it now, but I still call it manga. And yeah, I'm a big fan of manga. Love manga. Always have. Watch a lot of it. I still watch it. I used to watch huge amounts of it when I was younger, and I still watch stuff, manga, cartoons. So. I like their art style. It's unique to Japan too. They have a unique art style in Japan. So we have our texture here, which is R3 that we're working on. Let's export that. Return to normal mode. I think we've only got one more for this support to load in. Two more, my mistake. So R4. And again, I'm just double checking that the settings we have for our normal map here are working for all of the different bitmap textures we have, diffuse textures that we have. So we update our integrator so it creates our normal and our height and our ambient occlusion, and then we just do an export. And let's load up the last one, which is R5. Your weakness says that the art style is way more appealing than a Western one, but you're taking a midway approach. Oh, that's an interesting approach to take. I like all different art styles. I don't think one is particularly better than the other. I think they're all unique. Manga, anime is a unique look. In each country I've found as well has a different art style. The French have a particular look. Again, the Japanese have a particular look. The Americans have a particular look to their art. They all seem to have, consciously or unconsciously, they all have a definite style about them. Most of the artists you're following are South Korean, okay. And they're doing concept art, yep. No, it is just a personal preference, and like I said, even the Western cultures I found have their own specific art styles. It's subtle, but it's there. And I'd probably say that my favourite style, would I call it a style? As far as artwork goes, I like what the French do. I think the French do art superbly. It's just beautiful. They have a really unique and nice aesthetic, the French artists. And that's my personal preference as French artists. But the Japanese manga style, anime style is nice too. Different though. What do you want to show this? Oh, you show me some concept art by some Japanese or South Korean guy. Let's have a look. Oh, I see what you mean. That sort of a mix between the realistic and the anime style. Yep. Yeah, that's nice concept art. Really nice. It looks like the skin shading, the colouring on the skin is that gives it that in-between look. Yeah, it's very nice. Nice style. Nice concept art. Realistic anime. Good word. Yeah, I see what you mean. Nice. Very World of Warcraft. Just the look of the actual character, not the actual concept art itself. But yeah, no, very nice. So I see what you mean. So we have our last one here. Let's update our integrator and do our export. Okay, let's move on to the next model now. Model piece, that is. So we have our supports. Okay, we have our rotunda here. And whatever the resolution of your color map bitmap is, like for instance this one I'm pulling in as a 4K texture, I think, from memory. It's going to save it out at the same resolution. You don't have any control over the size of the export that I'm aware of. But it's easy then for you to take it into Photoshop if you want to do a reduction. And normally with a normal map, if you say for instance this normal map, this is a 4K texture, and so it's going to create a 4K normal map, which is probably a bit bigger than what you really need. Generally with 4K textures, I will take the normal map into Photoshop and reduce it to a 2K texture. You want to do all of their, you want to create models for all of their concept art leaders. You knock them out some, you probably could. But like I said, start doing some texturing work, dude. Your modeling work is great, but start texturing up. Doing some texture stuff. Because it'll look amazing. The models will look amazing when you texture them up. And I know it can be, like I said, the modeling stage is difficult. The texturing stage can be just as difficult. A lot of people think that it's just a question of slapping down throw a bitmap on it and it'll be good. It's not. To do it properly, it takes work, and it's an art as well. And you won't get better at it until you keep practicing with it. So for anyone that thinks that the only thing that's difficult in 3D is modeling, it's not. Texturing can be really difficult as well. Let me see here. Start playing with our normal map here again. Again, these really large details, you're really not going to pick anything much up. I will pull it up a bit though, because you'll notice it's picking up these swirls that are happening around the exterior of the mosaic tile. And I do want to pick that up with the lighting as well. So. You've tried hand painting already, Leetness? I don't know about the face. I saw the guns that you did. The guns are pretty good. I liked what you did with the guns. I don't think I've seen the face. Again, with this medium level detail, I am going to pull that in a bit as well, because I want to get the grouting that's between these tiles here, and that's being picked up most with this medium level detail. So again, I'm going to pull that up a bit. The fine detail. Yeah, I'll pull that up till just before the halfway point. And the extra fine detail. And again, I'm looking here at my 3D model while I'm doing this to get a better idea. I'm not so much looking at the normal map here shown in the viewport. And again, that's another reason why I like to bring the actual mesh in while I'm doing this, so I can get an idea of exactly what it's going to look like while I'm doing it, instead of trying to guess. And I'm going to pull that in. See, without it, the texture looks a bit fuzzy. The more you pull it in, the clearer the texture becomes. And I'm going to pull it in until just before the top here. I'm going to I'm going to change my path before I do anything. So we want the center rotunda. And I'm going to update the integrator now. So we have our height map and our ambient occlusion map. That looks good, so let's do an export. You're showing me, you're saying it's very rough, Leetness, and this is a hand-painted face, I think you're saying you did. Okay. Just waiting for my internet to load that in. Alright, so I'm assuming you're going for that realistic animated style that you were talking about? Yeah, no, that's looking nice. If you're going for that realistic anime style, then that's cool. Yeah, it's looking good. Again, it depends on what style you're going for, what art style. I like the work you've done around the eyes here, that's looking very nice. Cool. It was an old project, no, that's fine. And like I said, you're going for, again, like you've been saying, I guess, that realistic anime style. And I do like the shadowing, the texturing you've done around the eye and through the eyeball here. Yeah, no, looks nice. So we've changed our path here. Yep. I can't remember if I did an export or not. Oh, that's right, we're talking about our ambient occlusion, so even if we did do an export, it'll just overwrite the file, it's not a problem. The eyes were quite a challenge, you had to remodel them, yeah, I could imagine. The eyes are looking nice. I like the pupils and the shadowing you've got around the actual eye itself. They have a shell for reflections, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, the reflection in the eyeball. Yeah, the eyeball's looking nice. The pupil. So let's load up our next model here. Okay, now this is the column. Now you're going to see a slight problem when I bring this in. This is because this model uses two textures and the program seems to be having a bit of a problem with FBXs with two textures. So it may be just... Oh no, actually it's not this model, so ignore what I just said. I'll show you with the model that I'm talking about. This is not the texture that we want either. Or is it? No, I think it is. There's some error happening here with the texture map. It's just the texture map in the viewport here. This is these are these columns here. And you see in the actual viewport there is no problem with the texture itself. Seems to be just a problem when the program did the export to FBX format with the UVs. That's the problem I was getting with the OBJs actually. That look. This look here about the texture map not being assigned correctly. But we're more concerned with the rest of the model work because we're not doing any modelling work here. We're only loading the model up to check the normal map. So we can do that through the middle here. We can just ignore that. Because like I said, it's not in the original model. It's just showing up here in this temporary model we're using to view the texture. You're saying you miss the effect painted, just a diffuse with a gradient? Okay, cool. I'm going to pull back on some of these for this particular piece of geometry. Again, I'm looking at the model while I'm making these adjustments, not looking at this. At this stage, anyway. I'm going to pull that up a bit more. The fine detail, I want to pull back a bit. And the extra fine detail, I want to pull back a bit as well. So we just start to see it. Again, I'm going to change my export path here. This one here. We're going to update our integrator so it creates our ambient occlusion and height map for it, and we'll do an export. Let's move on to the next piece of geometry. We'll load up our mesh. Okay. Let's play with our extra large detail. No. And again, for most of these texture maps, the extra large and large detail are really not beneficial for these particular pieces. So they may work for other pieces differently. So again, really good reason to have everything here so you can see it as you're working on it. No problem, Lisa. Leadness 5 AM. Yeah, that's very late. I'm finishing up soon anyway. So thank you for watching Leadness and hanging out. I appreciate it. Always good to see you two in chat. You're always around. Have a good night's sleep. Let's work on the fine detail here a bit. I'll be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM. Lateness if you want to check me out again. The extra fine detail, I'm going to pull up a little bit more on this piece of geometry. Again, you'll notice I'm not really adjusting the intensity. I could pull it back a bit actually. We might drop that back to 90. Alright. So, we changed our path, did we? Let's just make sure we did. No problem, Leadness. If I see you tomorrow, I see you. Otherwise, yeah, I'm on tomorrow and Wednesday, so have a good night's sleep. Thanks for hanging out. So we need to change it to this character here. Have a good one, Leadness. Good night. Let's update our integrator here and export and load up our next one. We have these are the curved banister pieces. We created 2 texture maps for those. So let's load up our mesh. Okay. And change our path here so that they're exported into the right directory. And let's have a look here at our settings. Again, I know with these pieces I had the large and extra large turned pretty much off. Pull that one right back. Pull that one up a bit. And the extra fine detail is the one that I'm really more concerned with looking at here. I think that will be good. Let's update the integrator. And export. And we'll turn. Let's light up our second texture map here. And again, I'm just going to double check that piece of geometry to make sure. It should be fine though. Yeah, all of our settings we use for the other piece we can use for this one, and the path hasn't changed, so we'll just do export again. Let's move on to the next piece here. Alright, this is our ring that's sitting at the very top of the dome. So this ring up here. Let's start by changing our path so that they're exported to the right spot. Let's see here. Extra large detail. Again, no. Large detail. Maybe a little bit. Medium detail. Fine. And extra fine detail. Yeah. I think that's looking quite good. Again, there's some dirt on this, so I want to pick that up in the normal map. I'm going to go quite heavy here on the extra fine detail. Again, I'm going to leave my intensity at 90 though. And remember too, you can always invert your normal map here if you think it's going up when it should be going in. So we set our texture path. Let's update the integrator. And export. Okay, we've only got the one texture for that piece of geometry, so let's go to the ring at the top now. Load up our mesh. And again, because these two pieces of geometry are the same or very similar, I don't think I'll need to change the normal map for that at all. The default settings we use for the lower ring should be quite fine for the upper ring as well, and they look fine to me here. We'll change our path. Home ring top. And we've got to update our integrator so that we create our height and ambient occlusion. Always remember to do that, otherwise it'll only export a normal. Export. Let's do one more. Column. Okay, these are the columns at the front. Let's change our path here. And let's play with our normal map a little bit. Again, I don't think extra large, no, not going to benefit from extra large. Large detail, maybe a little bit. Medium detail. Or maybe a bit more. Fine detail. I'm actually going to pull back a bit on fine detail. And extra fine detail. I don't want it to look too pimply here, but that's a word, too pitted. So I want to pull back on my fine detail until it doesn't look quite so pitted. I still want a little bit of the look of stone, but not too much. So about halfway. And again, we're going to leave our intensity at 90, I think. I'm going to update the integrator. And we'll export our normal maps. Okay, so where are we up to? We did this one here, so we're about halfway through. We may leave it there for today so we can finish this off tomorrow. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there for today. We'll finish off doing the normal mapping for those remaining pieces of geometry tomorrow. And then we can do an attach on this and do an export so we can bring it into Eon View and start setting up the materials for the model in that and creating the environment, the 3D environment with vegetation in view. So our plan of attack tomorrow will be to finish off using Nulled to create the normal maps for the remaining pieces of geometry. And then we'll do a export this model attached with everything attached apart from the angel statues and vines, so that we can import it into View and start creating our environment. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it when you guys are in chat and talking. It's always fun. Again, thank you guys for watching. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM, that's US time, which is 12 PM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. If you're not sure when I'm going to be live, I always post 15 minutes before I'm about to go live to my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D, so you can always keep an eye out there. You'll see a post from me 15 minutes before I'm about to go live. I will be back on again tomorrow though at 5 PM. Thanks for hanging out, Smurfberry. And everyone else, anyone that's not in chat and has been watching, thank you very much for hanging out with me and watching. I will be back on again tomorrow. We'll finish doing our normal maps and we'll do an export so we can start doing some work in Eon View. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.